Hey, welcome everyone to another installment of Rep TV. I'm your co-host Paul Marchand. All the way to your screen right is your other co-host Steve Repman Cody. I don't know what he's wearing today. This was all unplanned. Sorry.
I'm in mourning. I'm in mourning for my Mets.
Many of us are. Actually, all except two cities are in mourning for their teams. And in between us, we have joining us again the academic chair for sports management from NYU, Dr. Baseball, Wayne McDonnell. And actually, our Mr. Crystal Ball, since we were going to talk about this later, but you hit some picks spot on in July.
That's rare.
On this Rep TV
That's rare.
segment.
He's still below the Mendoza line.
Yeah, well,
I'm getting there.
Are you getting there? You're about 179 or so.
188.
Okay, 188. All right, fair enough.
But really did a good job picking those. So we'll go over those later on, and also your picks for the individual awards.
Great.
But Mr. Repman Steve Cody is going to start us off today.
A question out of left field, literally. Twice, this manager has won the AL East, AL East, Boston Red Sox. They fire the guy. Wow, how do you define success? 2 straight AL East titles and he's gone? I mean, what's the thinking there?
Well, we could say the same thing about Dusty Baker.
Sure.
I think that was a shock in that case. When I think winning really today is not about winning the division. It's about depth into October. And also, too, I think it was a part of the ways of philosophies. The Red Sox are a ball club that are predicated to win and go deep into October, and they had a little bit of an analytical bend there. And the same thing with the Nationals, but the Nationals was a little more disappointing.
Yeah.
You kind of had a feeling Farrell was on his way out because you heard the rumors throughout the season. But that's just a new way of looking at things. But winning is no longer making the playoffs. It's a deep run.
It's the Vince Lombardi route.
Yeah.
It's not everything. It's the only thing.
Yeah, well, the Nationals have been eliminated pretty much every opening series in the playoffs for the last
But
how
they
many
still
years?
have Daniel Murphy, which is an open wound for a Met fan.
Oh yeah, well everything is open wound for you guys.
It's pretty
Sorry
much
to
true.
say.
Or torn rotator cuff or something.
But
Late
speaking-
rum,
Right.
it is.
Exactly.
Speaking of success and what it means, a lot of people were really going for a Yankees-Dodgers World Series matchup. Would have been the 12th time in history that would have happened.
We don't
It
need to hear that.
Yeah, we do. We do. It didn't happen. Now you have sort of the Astros have become the sentimental favorite, in part because of what happened with Hurricane Harvey earlier this year. You see the Houston strong patches still in their uniforms. And this kind of harkens back, for me at least, being in New York after 9/11, the way that the Yankees, their success kind of contributed to the healing that the city went through. Same thing happened in Boston after the 2013 marathon bombings. What does it really mean to have a sports franchise or a team perform and succeed after such a traumatic event for a city?
I've always said this, and I've said it here on many occasions. I'm a firm believer that sports is deeply woven into the fabric of our society. And when you have a ball club that can heal a city, it doesn't matter what sport it is, it's truly powerful. We lived through it here, 9/11 here in New York, with the Yankees making that great World Series run. Didn't end the way we wanted it to end.
Ended the way I wanted.
And the way you wanted to end. We saw it with Boston in 2013 after the Boston Marathon massacre. But what I think what we're seeing here is that when it's done right, and the Astros, the Texans, the Rockets, all those franchises in that city have done it right and really came together as a community. J.J. Watt's a perfect example of the power of sports when done right. Instead of always getting the negativity and the underbelly, when you see it done right, it's truly powerful and amazing. And we're seeing it with the Astros, we're seeing it with J.J. Watt, and we're seeing it all across the board. And I think this is going to help the city of Houston in so many different ways.
In what way do you think? I mean, because I know that some people say, well, it's just sports. It's fleeting. It happens. They're in. They're out. But does it have a long-term ramification for the people, for the city?
Well, I think it does, because what sports has done, especially in this case, it's suspended reality. It gets you away from your problems, your heartache, and your issues. And look, I know what it was like in 9/11 when I was working at MSG and seeing all these fans come in and say thank you. You're giving me 2 to 3 hours that I don't have to think about losing my loved ones or family friends or relatives. I can just talk about basketball or hockey. And when done correctly, it helps in the healing process. You'll never get over the pain of the loss, particularly what's happening in Houston, but it's just bringing people together to realize that we all should be treating each other with love, kindness, and respect at all points in time. And sports does that for us.
Yep.
So I hate to suggest it, but something seriously wrong has to happen to Flushing before the Mets will finally resurrected themselves.
Well, if you didn't consider this season something horribly
It was a tragedy. I'll give you that. It was a tragedy. So you've got two great teams, two great pitching staffs. Again, the word dynasty. It keeps coming up. Oh, the Astros are a dynasty. Well, the Yankees are young. They're a dynasty. Dodgers with their pitching staff were a dynasty. When the Giants won 3 out of 5, they were a dynasty. When Kansas City won the World Series, look for them to become a dynasty. Mm-hmm. Dynasties don't happen. Why not?
I don't like that word just because it's an over-exaggeration of what really happens. Why can't we just live in the moment? And I think we're so quick to build or use the word dynasty, or we have to think of winning multiple championships. Why can't we appreciate game one tonight rather than think of the Astros or the Dodgers on the cusp of something? Mm-hmm. I even hated hearing about this new group of Yankee ball players,
right?
Because they haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Mets in 2015 with this great young pitching corps.
Right.
Give them a break. And I think we don't enjoy the moment. We're looking for the legacy up front rather than let's enjoy what we're seeing in front of us. Great baseball from two high-quality ball clubs right now.
It's an interesting question because I was looking at a tweet from Sports Illustrated today. They showed back in 2000 Johnny Damon and Jermaine Dye and Carlos Beltran, who was supposed to be the future of that franchise, and we know where they all went and had success later on. Do you think it almost jinxes? I mean, I hate to use the word jinx as a superstitious, or maybe just adds this unneeded pressure on the players and the organizations?
I think there is pressure on the Astros because everyone in the analytics community and Sports Illustrated were predicting them 3 years ago to win the World Series this year. George Spring was on the cover, your world champions 2017, back in the spring of 2014. But I think it's just when you see something you like and there's excitement, you can't help it. But I think no matter what, both teams have some pressure on them for a wide variety of reasons.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Paul. With all of the NFL's woes, and obviously attendance is down, ratings are down, do you see MLB taking an uptick?
I think so. I think what you're seeing right now is a team in the Dodgers that haven't been there since 1988. Some young, dynamic, exciting ball players on that roster. There's a little bit of a sentimental favorite in Kershaw trying to win his first one. And then the Astros. What isn't there to like about the Houston Astros? Whether it be Altuve, Correa, Keuchel, Verlander, you name it. They're the perfect blend of veteran leadership, young, dynamic talent in a team. When they come together, they're pretty unstoppable.
Now, you mentioned earlier the notion of data, and you had an article in your Forbes column recently about baseball turning into more of a data-driven business. And then you also mentioned that could affect how the individual awards would play out. We talk about Aaron Judge, he's had 52 home runs, but then there are other players in the mix, like Jose Ramirez from the Indians, Mike Trout, obviously, that are going to be measured on things beyond just, batting average and home runs. We're looking at OPS, we're looking at some of these, stats like outside the zone contact percentage that you mentioned. Do you think that baseball and maybe a society and business as a whole is not going with their gut anymore?
It was kind of funny because I actually had a conversation with Paul O'Neill last week, and we were talking about...
What a name dropper. He was in Seinfeld.
Yes, he was.
Seinfeld episodes. Although the Keith Hernandez one was better.
Pretty special too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I asked him his opinion on it, and he referred back to an old Joe Torre reference. You don't take the heartbeat out of the game. And he told me he loved it when he sees a manager go against the analytics,
right,
and they actually have success, because you have to find that delicate balance. And I think that's what we're struggling with, because the fans don't want to get into weighted runs created plus or OPS plus. They want to see who wins and who hits the great home runs.
Right.
But the multi-billion-dollar business, 10, 12, 14 billion dollar business that it is predicated on the analytics. It's not going away anytime soon.
Final question. On that note, at the same time, you see managers go with their guts, like Girardi did, with whatever, 6-run lead, 7-run lead, whatever. And then I can't forget Collins leading in the Black Knight, the Dark Knight.
Matt Harvey.
Yeah, Matt Harvey, right, against Kansas City. Let him pitch. Went with his gut. In both cases, the gut instincts caused a failure, a loss. So does that fly in the face of all the data discussions and the data-driven decisions?
I hope not, because I think when you hire a manager, they have to have their finger on the pulse of both sides. And there are two masters that they have to appease. They have to appease the analytics aspect of the game, but also the heartbeat of the game. And that's what makes it special. If you can find that person that can do the blend of both, that's where the game is going. I hate to say it, people like Dusty Baker, and unfortunately we saw what happened to him. People aren't going to look in his direction anymore. They're looking in Mickey Callaway's direction.
Yeah, right.
A 42-year-old pitching coach who is really astute when it comes to the analytics. Even though Dusty Baker is this highly revered, 12th on the all-time winning list of managers, but they're going to look for that young guy who has a different feel for the game than Dusty Baker, and that's, I hate to say it, it's the direction the game's going right now.
Yeah, so it looks like your team's headed in the right direction with this managerial signing, Steve.
It's been a long time since we've gone in the right direction. But on that note, we were going to end the first part of our interview with Dr., even though it should be Mr. Baseball. And we'll be back with episode 2 in a moment.